I'm Jeff,
And I'm John.
and we are
The
the J and
J
J Show. So tonight's Wednesday edition
It
is
is.
sponsored by the Institute. Say that big long name again.
Well, you have the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence.
But
And
I just go by what Cecil told me
Cecil, the boss, gave us permission
to say the Institute. So tonight we have special guests, special new addition to the Institute. They merged companies.
It was Hertzberg Smith and Company. That was my company. And we decided that we were going to smash the two of them together. And now Cecil and Kent and I are involved we're going to go under the brand that the Institute had because it's well known.
The two companies, because now it's like a full service. Your part is mergers and acquisitions,
right,
and helping folks understand that your shop is basically always for sale. It's not like, oh, hey, we're going to wait until we get ready to retire. Right. It's like, no, we need to be planning for that like all the time.
Well, the dynamics, shall I just launch into a little bit of a background? Okay. I grew up in the Fortune 100. I came from the big consulting firms, and I stepped away from that about 20 years ago to dabble in small and mid-sized business. It's more fun. I like working with the owners, not with people who are beholden to giant shareholder groups. And it's because you guys, when you decide to do something, you just do it. And we don't have to go get board approval, right? That's what I love about this industry and about the folks that are in it. But what's happening in this industry has happened in 40, 50, 60 industry verticals before. Old mom and pop industries that rolled up and ended up, the mom and pops began to consolidate, and then the consolidators came to town and they brought their money and they started building bigger and bigger entities. We watched it happen to the bookstores and drugstores and furniture stores and all kinds of mom and pops that are really big box routines now. We watched it happen to the collision business in our neighbors next door that are kind of our cousins, if you will. And it's a little bit different for them because they're insurance company funded. We're customer funded with how we get paid. But we were kind of under the radar of the investment firms for a long time. And then COVID hit. And what happened with COVID was a lot of the private equity type investors, they had high-end restaurants, they had strip malls, they had all kinds of things they'd put their money into, and all those things stalled. And there's always more money, guys. And there's a lot of key messages in this that I'd love to share with you guys tonight. It's just the beginning of a conversation, but there's always more money out there to be invested than there are good projects to put it into. So the reality of it is that when their projects dried up, they got really desperate to find places to put money, and they found our industry. And we knew they were coming because this is a highly profitable industry. You guys know it better than I do. I'm an outsider stepping into it 7 years ago. And I was telling Brad, I couldn't run a shop if my life depended on it. I have huge respect for you guys, but I kind of understand different angles that I can now bring to the table. And when the investors come to town, I want you guys to be ready. And the idea is that we want the vision that I have, that Cecil and I connected on, and Kent, and what we're going to build now, we're actively building, is we want to build owner-operator platforms, not investment platforms, if that makes sense. And when the investor guys come to town and say, hey, we want to buy your shop and use it as a way to make money, what we want to do is to work with you guys and have you build a platform, get it funded, have it be on your terms, not on their terms, and then have us be able to decide with them and their money in our pocket, but as partners, which way the industry is going to go from here. But it's almost without question that the industry is going to roll up. And there will be, there are 235,000 players registered with the federal government in the industry that you guys are in. And it's not going to be nearly that many 15, 20 years from now. They're going to be a lot bigger and a lot fewer number. And so there are folks who can say, I don't want to play the consolidator game. That's fine. If you're at the end of your career, you don't have to. But I'll tell you what, the person that you sell your company to is going to have to play this game because it's on. And that's where we're going. It's happening. There's nothing individually that we can do to stop it. So the idea is, what is it? Let's understand it. Let's manage it. Let's be in control of it to the greatest extent that we can, and not let it be done to us. Let's let us make the decisions ourselves. And, I'm just, as a real quick side, I just finished putting 5, 8, 10, 12 shop systems together into a single project. We got it funded by private equity, and that project is now one of the top 10 consolidators in our industry. And so that's the kind of thing we're talking about here, is teaching you guys how to grow. Those who are interested, it's not for everybody, but if you are interested in playing the game, show you guys how to be your own consolidator and grow. And the old terms are multi-shop, but that's old school stuff. This is like, learn to be a consolidator yourself, and then put you together in a regional projects, and then be able to take those projects out for funding. So it's a new future in this that wasn't here historically, right? So you don't have to do this, but that's what we're putting on top of what you guys know has always been done. So go ahead, John. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So.
That's okay. I didn't want to cut you off. That's why. So a client is interested in doing what you're talking about. I know there's some training, there's some different things, different way of thinking, all that has to come into play. What is the turnaround to take a shop to get to where he's eligible to be on your platform?
Well, it's really what we've designed as a 3-step process, and they don't all have to be done sequentially. If you're running a tight shop, and this is what the Institute's done historically, there are some others in our industry too that have supported you guys. But the idea is be stable, make money. You're seasonal, as this industry is, but you're not like living and dying by the season. You got money in the bank. What I always say to people is, the investors, there are statistics out there, and I'll get to your answer, John. There's statistics out there that 65% of privately held businesses, that the owners treat them like cash machines.
Yes.
So they just take the money out of them. They buy another cabin, they buy another car, they buy, and they don't put the money back in the business. These guys then spend 25, 30, 35 years running their company. They go to sell it. There's nothing to buy. Nobody's going to buy it from them. So they're kind of stuck selling it to their lead technician, their lead service advisor, whatever. And so the beginning of this is, step one is to teach the owners and show the owners how to build a true high performance company. And what that means is that they're investing the money that they make in an increasing amount back into the business. And it's around the issues of humans. It's not about operations and fixing cars. It's not about sales. It's not about managing financials. It's about raising up a championship team. And I mean a genuine championship team that's better than everybody else in your market. That's step one. We just call it a high performance. We're building high performance groups, and that's taking a well-run shop and taking it up to the next level of making even more money and what you put it back into. Then level two is becoming your own consolidator. So there's an art, a science and an art to knowing how to assess a company to potentially purchase it, going through the due diligence process, writing a contract with them. Then when the contract's signed, you bring that company in, and it has to hit the ground running. And that process of mergers and acquisitions, if you will, that's where I grew up. That's stage two, is to teach that to you guys so that you can become your own consolidator. And the easiest way to say it is, if a funding guy comes to the table and says, I'm going to give you money for your company, and you say, look, it's a bright, shiny object and it performs well, they go, okay, I'll give you, price X. If you say, oh, by the way, I put a high performance engine in it, and we've been growing. And so we've built into our system already what you wanted to do with our company after you invested in it anyway. And your price as an owner goes up yet again. So the price keeps going up, right? The more you know about their business. And that's what I'm here to teach you guys. The third phase of what we're doing, guys, phase one has become, take the performance of the company up another notch and reinvest in becoming a merger and acquisition machine. That's stage two. Stage three is coming together regionally with a peer group that's hand selected to build your own project. So the idea is that we're going to start with 15 to 20 companies in what we call MSAs, metropolitan statistical areas. And they're going to be handpicked, basically people who want to do this and want to learn and will take it seriously, and meet as a peer group and teach you guys. Basically, we're going to do the foundational work to put your own platform together so that if you're interested, you can take it out for funding, meaning that then we go bring a private equity firm in. We bring in more than one. We go through a bidding process. When I did the 5 companies I talked about earlier, we had 17 mid-market private equity firms that we talked to. The project itself was 9 figures, and they expect to sell this thing in a 5-year period at an 8-figure amount. And I'm not exaggerating. These are big dollars because these guys want to get in the business and they want to play the roll-up game. And you guys can position yourselves to be part of that if you want to. And I will say this is not rocket science. It might feel like, oh my God, it's a different industry, but I'm going to tell you what you do is more complicated than what I'm here to teach you about what I know. It really is. It's just a different language. It's a different competency set to add to what you guys have. And I'll say, this is the leadership intensive that's coming up in December that y'all are invited to, by the way. The links on the website you can find. It's called Leadership Intensive 1 because there's 3 of them. But the idea is that's the beginning foundational work of what in essence is what a high level sports coach knows about how to take champions and build teams out of them. I mean, at the professional levels of sports, there's a way that humans think and operate, and you guys need to know how that works, because that's how you're going to build the best companies in the business. And the leadership intensive is a foundational step in the high performance program that we have. So it is, I say this to folks and we laugh about it, but it comes back around and then they remind me of it. I say, you guys are great shop owners. You're also going to become great business people from an investor perspective. And, at one point I said to the group that I've been leading, the national group of 21 companies, I said to them, at some point, you guys are going to turn to me and say, hey, I don't fix cars. I'm in the private equity business. And they're like, yeah. Sure enough, at one point in the meeting, they go, hey, you know what I just figured out? We don't fix cars. We're in the private. And again, it's not that we're taking anything away from what we do. They just had a mindset shift. It was like, look, this business is a great business, but we're doing something with the business in addition to showing up every day and serving our customers. We want to make an impact on our community. We want to raise up a place where the best people in the industry can come and work. We want to have the best customers and cherry pick the best customers in the market that are our kind of people. And the technology for all that stuff exists. And that's the high performance program that we put together. So, and it's really, go ahead. Sorry.
That's cool. I love it.
Yeah. This is where we have to start, is figuring out what's the difference between you guys and your competitor. How can you be better? How can you be different? How can you distinguish yourself? And it's beyond a branding question. It's really, what impact do you want to make in the community? And the high performance human side of stuff boils down to humans that are high performance characters, the people who are champions and masters in their space, care about the issues of meaning. They show up at work because they want to make a difference in the world. And we have techs and service advisors that don't. They show up for the paycheck. That's fine. That's the level of their development. But the true masters are like, look, I want to make a difference with my life. This is important to me. And we know these guys. These are the technicians that hit their mid-50s and their hands don't work anymore, but they're like, look, I'm not done with this industry. I want to train now. I want to pass this along to the people that I work with. I want to help the younger generation to succeed. Those kind of people are meaning driven.
That's right.
They are. And we need to understand how that works. And that's kind of, again, that's what the leadership intensive is about. But that's the platform of taking your performance up to another level is really focusing on the human side of the business. And once you get it built internally, then you turn to your customers with a different way of seeing the customer relationship, and you're present in your community with a different way of being in the community. And then you guys your brand really starts to stand out. And that's the beginning of building a high value company from a financial perspective.
Everything you said in the last minute and a half, 2 minutes When a guy that owns an automotive shop realizes all of that,
Yeah.
his whole world will turn around.
Yes, it does.
It's just amazing. I'm passionate about what you just said, Michael. The whole thing is exactly my message.
Yeah.
And when you deliver it like that, you hit me in the heart. You hit me home.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that message.
Well, and see, there's kind of like two things going on here. Is number one is we're taking, with the Institute current process, we're taking the shop owner that needs help, and we're trying to bring them up to a level and giving them information and guidance, and it's up to them to implement it and start doing it. Once they start doing it, then the next level is, okay, let's look at if we have someone come along to invest and buy. That's where you're getting intensive with them.
We said it before. You guys run one of the most complicated small businesses there is. Yep. And so they can't walk in here and just tell you how to do it better. They don't know what you're doing, right? Go ahead, John.
It's not that easy.
No, it's not.
Moving parts in my business. Somebody don't understand the automotive industry is not going to make a good swing at it.
Nope.
And so one of the questions that I have is when you sell and you stay in it and you reinvest some of that you just sold back in to the business, because now you're a regional owner or, over that group, isn't the idea, because I heard you say 5 years. So isn't the idea that they want to invest and take these and improve them so that in 5 years they can turn around and sell it again? And if you reinvested, now all of a sudden where you initially got a higher price, then all of a sudden this next time you might be like almost doubling what your investment was.
Oh yeah, more than doubling. And that's the second bite, they call it, when you reinvest a portion of your original proceeds back into the project and it multiplies again. Done right, the second bite, if you put enough back in, the second bite is bigger than the first payment. Yeah, the way this works, guys, is that think about, tanks full of fish. Just, I have a 3-year-old at home. I love my little boy. We watch, ocean shows, right? And the krill and the fish that eat the krill and the fish that eat the fish that eat the krill. At some point, the great white's out there chomping big holes in the biggest stuff that's out there, the orcas, that kind of thing. And that's kind of how this works, right? At the end of the road is BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. These are the big dogs at the end that'll pay 35 times EBITDA for a giant player to buy a substantial portion of an industry because they want to own it. That's the end game. And we can all say we don't like it. We don't have to play if we don't want to, but the industry will go there. And it's like a tidal. I started talking about a tidal wave 7 years ago, and now a lot of people talk about a tidal wave, right, of this coming. But it's like there's 3 strategies. One of them is run for the hills and give up right now. Sell your business, get out, and just go upstream and get away from this whole thing. Second thing is stand on the beach, hold on to a palm tree and think it's going to wash over you. You're going to be fine. And you won't, because this thing's going to change, and it's big, and it's the dynamics underneath that are going to sweep everybody who tries to hold on in the current state away. And then the third approach is to build jet skis and speedboats and run them down and get them in the water and go start to play. And that's kind of what I do, is I show you guys how to play, right? So but all I'm saying is there's a lot of conversation. Oh, I don't want to play the corporate game. I got it. But what I'll say to you is, if you don't want to, the person you sell your company to is going to have to learn how to play the game. So if you sell it to a family member, or if you sell it to a key employee that you're fond of and you genuinely care, they better freaking start learning this stuff right now, so that you don't have to play the game, but you better be teaching them how to play it, because you don't want them sitting on the beach holding a palm tree and then losing everything that you built and that they bought from you. The other piece of it is the old game of the owner selling the business and holding on to the property and having a dependable tenant as part of your retirement plan. It's a fine strategy, but now you have a real reason not to have the business that you sold go under, because those are the guys that are paying the rent that are going to help you guys with your retirement income too, right? So all of this comes back to, there's a process that I go through with people of exit strategy, planning, thinking about what you want out of the business. How long do you want to be in the business? Do you want to stay in it? Do you want to play in it? because the best thing an investor wants to do is to go to an owner operator who's fabulously successful and profitable, have you sell them 51 or 55% of your business. Technically, they're in charge, but you pick a private equity firm that says, look, hands off, laissez-faire, we're going to let you do what you do. We're going to bring the money, you bring the knowledge, and we'll run this thing together. And they let you do what you want to do, right? Then they grow the platform. And the word platform, you're going to start to hear over and over again. The platform is the consolidation project. They call it a platform. So you're better off if you build a platform than if you join a platform. The thing is, this, again, I'll say, this is nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to be cautious of. It's something to be knowledgeable about, right? It's like I wouldn't take the cover off my engine and get into the parts, because I know I don't know what I'm doing. And all I'm saying is, you guys can learn this just like you learn to do what you do. It's just another set of knowledge that you maybe didn't think you'd ever want to learn or need to learn. But once you learn it, it's kind of fun. And that's the joke I made before about people saying, hey, I don't just fix cars anymore. I'm a private equity investor. Because once you start to learn it, it's like there's less magic in that than there is in what you guys do. And I mean that. Once you learn it, you know how to play the game. Now your mind starts to open into the strategy. And I say to everybody, leadership intensive and all that, I go, the biggest thing that's in front of you guys is not the learning. It's the mindset shift that you're building an investment company that happens to fix cars. And that mindset shift is the hardest thing that you guys as owners will have to go through, because it doesn't change anything you do on a daily basis in the shop. It's the same stuff. If anything, it gets better. But the idea that it's not about fixing cars, it's about building a value-driven company that helps your people, helps your community, helps your customers. And you're in the process of doing it, you're building the highest value business that you can in the space that you're in, that you're really taking care of your family's legacy and these businesses that you guys have invested in. There was never a chance to do this before. Now the money, and I'll say this, I'll throw a big number out there. There's $162 billion of what investment community calls dry powder. Dry powder is money waiting to be put into projects.